if you want to climb a mountain, you need a team. But even before the team, you need a mountain to climb. Nobody is interested in working for you, Vishwesh. They're interested in joining your business because they find that the mission that you are focusing on is very compelling.
So in your entrepreneur journey, how you transformed yourself from just an entrepreneur to a large enterprise?
I don't come from a business background. I had also no experience of running a business. I also did not do any MBA or any of those kinds of things. So all of these management things were very new for me. But
what was your vision about dasra?
Our population of 1.4 billion people, more than half the people are below the age of 35. I came to the conclusion that jobs or creating jobs was the biggest requirement for India, because if young people are not working, they will throw stones. For any business to be successful, you need to be a market leader in that market. The top 3 players get 70-80% of the business, and the rest of the thousands of players get the rest of the 15-20%. If you look at the telecom network, we had many carriers, but now we are left with 3 basically: Airtel, Jio, and whatever is left of VI.
What is the role of AI in SME sector?
I would say that AI is going to be as pervasive as internet and the mobile phone. Those who figure out how to use AI will do significantly better than those who can't figure it out.
Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel, The Plastic Pearls by Veekay. Today we are honored to have a visionary leader, Dr. Anand Deshpande, with us. He is a founder, chairman and managing director of Persistent Systems Limited. From building a global tech company to empowering thousands of small entrepreneurs through his initiative, The Asra Foundation, his journey is an inspiration. In this special episode, we will explore his personal journey, insights on SME, and practical advice for business owners looking for growth and scale. Anand sir, I welcome you to our podcast. To start with, how do you started your business, and how you scaled up that business?
Okay, so let me share a little bit of the history and a little bit about how the company got started. And I'm now referring to Persistent Systems. Persistent today is a 35-year-old company. This year we did $1.4 billion in revenue. And we have about 25,000 employees all over the world. Of those 25,000, I would say 85% are in India. The rest are in about 21 countries across the world. We've been listed in the stock market for nearly 15 years, and now we are around, I would say, 80,000 to 90,000 crores in market cap. So the company is quite large now, and for the last 6 years, since 2019, I've been the chairman, and there is a full-time CEO who runs the business. So that's where we are today. But of course, the company started 35 years back. So we started the business in 1990. And to give you a little more context of how the business got started or where I came from. So as you know, I did my undergraduate, which is BTech in computer science, from IIT Kharagpur in 1984. Then I did a PhD in Indiana, from Indiana University Bloomington, in data related areas in 89. And then I worked in Hewlett Packard Laboratories in Palo Alto for about 18 months. While I was in the US, and especially when I was in Palo Alto, I had this feeling of going back to India, meaning coming back to India was important. We have good family ties, everyone in the family is here. And there was a good feeling that one should try to go back. And at that point, India and software was starting to happen. So while I was there in the Bay Area in California, N. Vittal, he was Secretary Department of Electronics. At that point, DOE is what it was called. So he came to the Bay Area and gave a talk at the Silicon Valley Indian Professional Association and said that he's looking for people from the US to come back to India and start businesses from India. And he thought that India had a good labor arbitrage, which means we had talented or capable people at lower cost. And if we could deliver software from India for people in the US, there could be a good market for it. And they set up something called software technology parks. Okay. And since this was happening in Pune, and I was very excited, I thought it could be a good opportunity to come back. So I used that opportunity of the software technology parks that were set up. And in 1990, I came back to start Persistent. So of course, Persistent now has a 35-year journey and a lot of different things going on there.
So while starting your journey as an entrepreneur, What was your vision, and is there any scale you have in mind that yes, I want to grow to that level?
So when I started the business, actually in 1990,
Right.
the total market for software industries, meaning if you had the business of all Indian software industries, were like 40-50 million dollars. So it was very small.
Yeah.
Today that market, meaning today Indian software industry contributes $250 billion. So when you are sitting in 1990, there is no way you could have imagined a big business, right? Because the entire industry was 40-50 million dollars and I'm starting out fresh with nothing. So my motivation was not scale driven at that point. My goal was one, so I had a PhD, I had worked in the US, and when I was coming back from the US, many people told me that you're compromising your resume, and when you go back to India, you will not be relevant after some time. So one of my number one goals was to stay relevant. So I should do things in India where my biodata is not compromised. So that was one thought process I had. The second idea was to do exciting, cool work for getting my biodata to not compromise. I had to do something interesting and challenging and all that. So do exciting, challenging work from India. So that was the other goal that I had. And then third was, do good work and have fun while we are doing all this. So those were the three motivations that I had when I started Persistent. Of course, scaling and all that was never on the cards at that point because one could not imagine, and having fun and all that stuff was very much part of what we wanted to do, doing something exciting. So we didn't start with a scale as a requirement at all.
Okay.
But as the company grew, of course, you get to a certain point, you feel comfortable, then you kind of expand your scope and start to think about doing more things to do.
So in your entrepreneur journey, how you transform yourself from just an entrepreneur to a large enterprise?
Right. So there are many things that happened. Of course, it is not an overnight thing that you move from being a coder or a programmer that I am to being a business person, because I don't come from a business background. Most of the people in our family had worked in various professional jobs. And I had also no experience of running a business. In fact, I always say that, I've always been part of the biggest business that I've ever worked in, because my job at HP was I was in the research lab and I had no business requirement in my job. But as you start to work on things and you start to work in a project, and all of a sudden you start to need new business, new activities, you sort of find ways around, and then you talk to friends and other people, and that helps you transform from where you are to, as you start to see more business, people tell you what to do, you talk to other people, and that's how you sort of evolve from being meaning for me at least, evolve from being a techie to being a business person. I also did not do any MBA or any of those kinds of things. So all of these management things were very new for me, but I did spend a lot of time reading books and learning new things from other people. So that has been one very important part of it. The other interesting thing that happened around that time is that my father, he was working for Kirloskar Pneumatics. And in 1990, he retired from there at the age of 55. Because they had some issues and they decided to retire people early. So he was sitting at home and giving advice, and I said, well, either you are in or out. So he agreed to join the business, and he helped a lot because he knew he was doing purchase, sales and other things, and he had been more in a management function for a while. So he had better understanding of dealing with Indian markets, Indian bureaucracy, government, all of those kinds of things. So he took on those responsibilities while I stayed focused on technology and sales.
Okay. Now about your dasra. What was your vision about dasra?
Okay. So, when I started, I was 28 when I started the business, and I sort of have a friend who kept telling me that you should think about learn, earn and return. Okay, so that was his theory. So I said, okay, I started 28, so about 50 plus, I started to think that I have done learn, earn, now I need to return, right? So when I was starting to think about what should I do in terms of giving back, I looked at a lot of the work that other well-known people have been doing, so I looked at Bill Gates and his Gates Foundation. I looked at Michael Dell and Dell Foundation. I read a set of conversations that Bill Gates has written about his conversations with Warren Buffett when he was starting Gates Foundation and other such things. And what I realized is that all of them said that if you should pick a mission that is long term and will last a long time, and pick an area that is of interest to you, but think about it in a long term stuff. And also, if you're doing personal philanthropy, your ability to take risk is that much better. So don't involve too many people and don't get it too bureaucratic in a way that you can take your own calls. And if it's your money, then you can experiment a little better.
Okay.
When you are in a corporate CSR, then you have to show results immediately, right? So your ability to experiment is not that much. So they said on personal philanthropy, you should experiment, try new models. So sitting from where I am in India, it was very clear that we have large number of young people in India. In fact, if you think about it, our population of 1.4 billion people, of them, more than half the people are below the age of 35.
All right.
So at every age in India, we have about 25 to 30 million people. Now, if you have so many people, we need like 15 to 18 million jobs every year. And from looking at the market and studying what's going on, I came to the conclusion that jobs or creating jobs was the biggest requirement for India, because if young people are not working, they will throw stones.
Yeah.
So they need to feel like they can be working. And when you look at that further, I found that job creators are the reason why jobs happen. So don't focus on just jobs, focus on job creators. So we spend a lot of time rethinking about what can we do to help job creators be successful.
Okay.
So Dasra Foundation, the focus is to work on, and then we looked at the market, we studied that, and we find that in India, 30% of all people are employed in what we call nano entrepreneurs. And they generate about 10% of the income. And in terms of number of companies that are there, most of them, like 90+% companies, are all very small businesses.
Yes.
And many of them are in the unorganized sector. So we said, let us focus on this community, and we call them nano entrepreneurs. And for nano entrepreneurs, we look at businesses in our definition as those between, say, 5-10 lakhs all the way to 1 crore. Okay. And the government classifies MSMEs up to almost 500 crores now. And their micro is almost 10 crores. So when you look at these 1 crore and sub 1 crore businesses, there aren't that many businesses. There's a large number of businesses, but not enough support for them.
Right.
So we decided that let's focus on just these very small nano entrepreneurs and do things for them so that we can help them be successful. And if they are successful, they'll hire more and more people. And if more job creators happen, that's good for us. So that was the motivation of what we set up for doing the Dasra Foundation.
So in the Dasra Foundation, what kind of support?
Yeah. What do we do for people, right? So the way we look at nano entrepreneurs is in 3 buckets, right? 3 different verticals or 3 different ways of how we look at it. We call this seed, soil, and surround. Okay. So when we look at seed, we have programs that help people become entrepreneurs. And the context or the what we are telling people is that we are heading into a world where we will see more and more gig work happening, which means people will do many jobs at the same time, but will do small, short jobs, small segments of jobs, and they'll keep looking for new jobs. One good way of looking at gigs is to look at a movie as to how a movie is made. So when a movie is made, you bring in the artists together for the movie and they work on that gig, but that artist may also be working in many movies at the same time concurrently, or maybe doing different things. And then when the movie is made, everybody is kind of disbanded and you find the next movie. So this is how work happens, and this is what I see is going to happen in other areas as well. So we are seeing a world where there is no shortage of work, but there is shortage of jobs. So we have created in our seed program a curriculum or course, which is a 3-credit course, which we have now partnered with universities, where we offer 3 credits, where we tell them 3 things. One is the mindset. There is shortage of jobs, but there is no shortage of work. It's your responsibility to convert work to jobs. So that's one. Second, we are telling kids that, and we really believe that young people in the world today will make a lot more money than their parents. But the money will not happen every month. It will happen at the completion of the gig. So you'll get paid often, but not regularly. So you have to figure out a way to manage your money. How do you buy insurance? What is investment? How much is EMI? So all those kinds of things. And the third thing is that once you complete a gig, it's your responsibility to find the next gig. So we have a course on how to sell. Maybe it'll be a sales gig. So that's our seed program. Now, soil is where we have spent most time in the last many years. And we have more than 400,000 businesses who have taken some help from us in this soil program, who have registered their phone number and picked something from us. So what do we do as part of soil? So when we looked at small businesses and especially nano entrepreneurs, we found that there are 5 kinds of things that they are lacking, or they need access to 5 things. So what are those 5 things? The first thing is access to credit or access to finance. The second is access to market. The third is access to technology. Fourth is access to talent. And fifth is access to compliance and regulations. So those are the 5 main areas in which most of the young or otherwise also nano entrepreneurs run into trouble. So what we have said is that, okay, if a nano entrepreneur runs into trouble in any of these areas, we should have solutions for them that helps them address their problems. And for doing that, what we have done is we have taken each of these 5 broad buckets and found at least 20 to 30 different sub-processes that are relevant for them. Okay. So for example, let's say, if somebody is a physiotherapist, they want to be seen online, you should be able to search for them, they should have an Instagram page. So in the marketing or access to market, there are these kinds of things you need. So this would be a process. Now for each of these processes, we have 4 things we do. One is a checklist that helps you identify, are you there? So if I'm a small business and I want to see, I don't get enough access to markets. So what could that be? So here's a checklist that allows you to decide why you are not getting it. Or then you say, okay, I need to be online. Then I can ask you 5 questions and see if you're online. So that's really what we have done. Then the next thing we do is we have DIY, as we call it, do-it-yourself information on how to get those things done. So you can go online and we have resources that you can go look up and get it done. Now, some entrepreneurs believe that that is too complicated. In that case, we have a group of partners who help entrepreneurs do that. And finally, my goal is to see how to build benchmarks so that we can identify for an entrepreneur to say that am I in the top quartile or bottom quartile. So they can do what improvements do they need. So that's what we do as part of our soil program. And in the surround program, we are doing 2 things. One is we run a Marathi channel and an online magazine called Yashasvi Udyojak. It's available on YouTube and Insta and everywhere else. And it is targeted to these nano entrepreneurs. So we have success stories and we also have mentors who share things that small businesses should do. And that channel is live and it's got a decent number of subscribers. And then finally, we are also we have a group that we call Dasra Insights, where we are trying to work with policy creators to create policies that may be relevant for very small businesses. So it's a fairly comprehensive stuff. We've been at it for about 13 years now. And as I said, we have more than 400,000 businesses that we have supported in some form or the other. And then we have a 40 people team full-time working on this. So that's really where it is. And if I think ahead, the market or the problem is very large, meaning we have almost 10 crores small businesses. And I would like to see how to push our businesses that we support to, tens of lakhs and 50 lakh and 100 lakh. So we are trying to go all over India and then expand the scope and all of those things.
In your views, what are the common challenges currently for nano or SME sector?
That's what I shared, right? There are 5 basic challenges that small businesses have. And this is true for small and nano as well. One is, of course, access to capital, cash, credit. Second is access to market. This is a big challenge for small businesses. Third is access to talent, technology, and compliance. So those are the main 5 areas that we find.
About your second orbit program.
Yes. For last many years, I used to run Saturday meetings in a sense. So every Saturday, I would put 3-4 hours and listen to people who came with their own challenges. And what I have found in general is that business growth is a sequence of S curves. So you do some things, you see growth, and you kind of flatten out. And then you have to do something different. So I'm sure with Kumbhojkar Plastics completing 50 years, and so Veekay Polymers also, now you have completed more than 15 years, I think, right?
25 years.
25 years is Veekay.
As a
Okay.
Reliance dealer.
Reliance dealer. And your business also, you have been at
Yeah.
it for more than 5-10 years. 15 years now.
15 years.
So yeah. So in all of those years, I'm sure you would have observed that, whatever business model or model processes that you started out when you started the business are not always the same. And it's not a straight line, meaning you can't just plot a growth and just draw a straight line up, right? It's never like that. But it is a sequence of S curves. So you do some things, you pick a new plan, you do some new activity, you see growth for a period of time, and then it plateaus out. And the thing is, you have to find the next orbit for you to have a chance of growing the business, because that particular business, that business model tends to flatten out. So at Persistent now, over the 35 years, we see we are in the 6th orbit.
Okay.
So we have seen 5 different orbits in the past. So what I find in general is that this transition from the first orbit to the second orbit is the hardest, because it involves the founders to change their mindset. Typically, when a founder starts the company, he is the center of the business. But if you want to grow the business, you have to transform the business where the company becomes the center of the business and the founder is an employee of the company who works for the company. So that transition is very hard for founders. So I have a course that I have designed now called Second Orbit, where we work with companies, typically in the 10, 20 crores, or they've been around for 5-10 years, and they find that growth has stagnated in some sense. So what else should they do to scale up? So that's really what we do as Second Orbit. So instead of sort of giving point advice that I was doing, I've sort of collected all that and built a fairly exhaustive curriculum. We ran 1-year program at Gokhale Institute, meeting once a month for about 6 hours.
Okay.
So I have a lot of material now. Then I've had different packages for doing shorter ones as well. So at IIT Bombay, we have run a program along with NASSCOM. So it's 2 to 3 days in one shot and then another follow-up 2 days after that, after 6 months. So people try things out and then come back. So that's really how we have done that. And that has also worked very well. So currently I have 5 cohorts that I'm working with and trying to understand what kind of gaps we have in our program. And then hopefully we will fill those gaps. And then when we come do the next version of Second Orbit, we will have a better understanding and case studies of things that we have tried and have worked or not worked.
As you started your business from scratch and grown to such a 7th orbit level, as you said.
That's the 6th orbit is what we call
level.
it.
Okay. So I would like to ask you to share your views on how you break down your second orbit, because at that time there was not many courses or not anything was available.
Right. So when we went through our second orbit, we didn't have a book. We hacked our way through it. But having done that, now I have a pretty good idea what you should do in second orbit. And since many of your listeners and maybe in that situation, let me give you a little bit of an overview of what we do in the second orbit program. So imagine, and I'm going to just use some imaginary just numbers to help us anchor this thing. So let's say you have been a business that has been around for 15 years, 10, 15 years, and you are about 20 crores in revenue. So now you find that for the last few years, you have been between 15 and 20, up, down, 15, 17, 18, and all the years growths are not that great. Now, you believe that you would like to see this business grow from 20 to 200 crores. So you are looking at a completely different change in your gradient. You want to grow, typically when you say you want to grow 5 times, you want to grow in 5-7 years, not 20 more years. So when you are trying to make that transition where you're going to change the orbit and change the gradient of your business, clearly you need to do something different. So the first thing we tell people is that, so one of the challenges that happens is when you run about a 20 crore company, let's say you have 100 people working for you, you go to your business and tell your 100 people, oh, let's grow. We've had like 3 to 5% year-on-year growth rate. Next 3 years, we're going to grow at 40%. People will say you're crazy. How is it possible, right? Nobody believes you. And then if they don't believe you, they will come and tell you all kinds of things that, oh, the culture will be destroyed. It's not possible. We can't hire people. You'll only get problems and nobody will give you a solution for it. So the first thing that we tell startups or small businesses at that level, and we spend a lot of time helping them do this, is to build a painted picture.
Okay.
So what we tell companies is that you should build a painted picture of where you see your business at, say, 10x. But maybe if 10x is too hard, at least 3x. So if you're a 20 crore business, imagine what a 60 to 75 crore business would look like. Just imagine. So draw a visual on it or make a movie about it. Or one other thing you can do is, so imagine that you moved from 20 crores to 75 crores in 3 years, and some newspaper article or some TV channel came to your house and asked you, what did you do to make that happen? Or what do you do now, right? So this kind of a visual representation of what your business might look like at 75 is what you need to create. So this is what we call the painted picture. Why is this necessary? It is necessary so that your team sees where you are going first. As they say, if you want to climb a mountain, you need a team. But even before the team, you need a mountain to climb.
Yeah.
If you don't have a mountain, where will you go? So first you have to create this mountain. Okay, so that's the first thing. That is what we call the painted picture. The second thing that we tell people, which is very important, is that for any business to be successful, you need to be a market leader in that market. So there is a theory that says that in any market, the top 3 players get 70-80% of the business, and the rest of the thousands of players get the rest of the 15-20%. And you can see this in different industries. So like if you go to airline industry in India right now, you have top 2, Indigo, Air India, and then the rest is very small fractions. You look at the telecom network, we had many carriers, but now we are left with 3 basically. Airtel, Jio, and whatever is left of VI.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how the world is moving. So in any industry, there are 2 or 3 companies. Now, if I'm a 20 crore company aspiring to be 60 crores, and I say I need to be a market leader, what does that really mean? Right? You have to be within the top 3. So the way I like to explain to people is that if you're looking at a 60 crore market, that business that you want to be, and you want to be in the top 3, think about being 20% market share in that market. If you are 20% market share, by definition, you are one of 5. Right. But most likely, you will be in one of 3. So if you want to aspire to get a 20% market and you are aspiring to be 60 crores, you should define the market to be no bigger than 300 crores. Okay. So one of the biggest challenges or most important thing that small businesses need to do is to focus their business and have clarity about their business to understand what is the market that they are chasing. What I find is that when businesses tend to stagnate and they want to do something big, the founders start to go helter-skelter and try to do everything. Right. And they are good at nothing in that case. And then why should customers come to you, right? That's not clear. If you have a clear focus, clear understanding of what your market is and where you are trying to go, then it helps a lot because you can then position your market in that market. You know who the buyers are. You know who the other competitors are. When the buyer decides to buy, somebody who doesn't know enough about the market wants to buy a product, they will ask who are the top players. You will only get top 3 names. Your name should get included in that. So being a market leader is very, very important. So that's the second thing that I said. The first was to build a painted picture. The second is to be a market leader. The third thing that we tell people is a team. The team is very important. And I shared a little bit about it, but I'll restate it. It is important to move from being a company that is about you, meaning my company, to being our company. So as I said, a lot of founders have this world where the founders are the company. Right. Everyone works for the founder. But the reality is that, when you start to scale that business, you want the company to be the center of the universe. You want people to work for the company. You want the founder to work with the company. And when you are hiring new senior people, you want to hire people who work with you, not for you. Now, this is very hard for founders to do. Founders have huge amounts of reservations about bringing in other people into their business or sharing equity, wealth, all of those kinds of things. They want people who work for them. So that is a huge problem. So problem when you have people, businesses where the founders are hiring people who work for them, then the limitation is the founder's ability. So business tends to scale down. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing I tell people is, of course, a lot of times I find in this middle tier, most of these companies don't have a good sales machine. Most of those deals that they have won have come from the network that they know, people they know, word of mouth or whatever else. So if you want to scale the business from 20 crores to 200 crores, you can't depend on just your word of mouth. You need to have a systematic sales process. So building that sales engine is the key. And finally, I tell companies that at this stage now, you need to set up better governance. So you need to have boards, you need to have regular board meetings, you need to have planning process, you need to share what your plans are. People should know what they are doing. There should be alignment amongst the people. There should be clarity of roles and responsibilities. So all of these things become important as part of governance. So that is the fifth thing. So let me just reiterate the 5 things I said. One is that build a painted picture. Second, be a leader in the market that you are in. So the best way to be a leader is to define the right market.
Right.
The third thing you want to do is to focus on the team, and you want to hire people who work for you, rather with you, rather than for you. Fourth thing I mentioned is the importance of sales, and finally the importance of corporate governance and governance in general. So those are the 5 things that I would say are the most important 5 things that small businesses should think about if they want to scale their business.
Right. So the founder should at some point let go his decision makings and
no,
everything.
That is not the correct thing. It's not about letting go. It is about working together, where allowing other people to make their decisions also.
Okay.
So having some clarity about what decisions should the founder be making and what decisions should other people be making.
Yeah.
And trying to create an environment where everyone feels empowered to do their work.
Okay.
It's not necessarily about giving up or control or any of those things. It's learning to work together as a team of leaders.
So the art of delegation comes into play.
Yes. Art of delegation, art of sharing wealth, art of sharing responsibilities, art of sharing, roles, responsibilities, all of those things, and empowering people to do things.
Okay. In second orbit, is there any financial planning or something? Is like many people I have seen is the mid-sized companies like who are 25 to 100 crores are facing continuous cash flow issues.
Correct. Okay, so let's talk about that also.
Because that is also the main part
Correct.
of the business.
Every business needs cash, and cash flow is the key to every successful business, no doubt about it. There are many ways today now in India where you can borrow money, you can raise money, you can get private equity, you can get venture. There are lots of different ways to raise money. But I think the important thing to understand is that business in itself should be able to return the money that you're borrowing in some form or the other. So you have to understand a little bit more about why is it that your business is not delivering the cash that needs to happen. So there are typical financial things that you can measure as to is your cash flow is not happening because your collections are poor, or your cost of goods are very high, or your manufacturing process is too expensive, or your sales process is too high. So having a little bit of data about your own business, looking at competitor analysis and seeing what is the best of class in the market, and then trying to define what you are doing and choosing the right product mix can help in making sure that you can get better returns for your things. And also, I think even small businesses should look at exports right now, because in some cases you will be able to get much better value for your products if you are exporting them than necessarily selling only in India. And also, premium branding or other things are also very important, which is one of the things that we talk a lot about when we talk about leadership. So like, for example, you look at, brands like Hermes or others, right? It's the same purse, but they are able to charge ridiculously high amount of money for that particular purse, right? Why is that happening for them? It is because they have created a brand, they have created leadership in those areas. So those are the kinds of things that we help people understand. Now, if you find that you need to raise money, let's say you want to go to a VC or whatever, you have to understand that the venture capitalist, when he gives a business, let's say 100 crores in equity, you have to worry about 2-3 things. One is that 100 crore equity that you're getting from the venture capitalist. It is going to dilute you.
Yes.
How much dilution should you be giving will depend on what your pre-money valuation is. So unless you are able to get money at a good valuation, you will end up diluting a lot. So you have to be careful about how much money can the business raise depending on the valuation of the business. So that is one factor that you need to do. The other factor that you should understand is that anytime a VC gives money to a business, the VC is looking to take money back in a few years. So let's say I give you as a VC 100 crore rupees. I'm expecting to take back 500 to 1,000 crores out of the business over the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay.
So now the question is your business stable? Is it going to grow enough? Is it going to create the kind of returns that will allow me as a VC to get the returns that I'm expecting in my book? If I can't get it, why would I give you money? Right? So there are all these kinds of things that one needs to think about. And yes, we include some of this in our discussion in the second orbit program.
What about the team building? How to choose the right leader, top guys with us?
Yes, team building is, as I mentioned, is always difficult, and it's the founder's responsibility to build teams. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to climb a mountain, you need a team. But for the team to come to you, you need the mountain. So if you want the team and you want to attract best talent, you have to create a mission that is inspiring for the team to come to. Nobody is interested in working for you, Vishwesh. They are interested in the business that you are doing.
Yes.
They are interested in joining your business because they find that the mission that you are focusing on is very compelling. So you have to create that mission that you want to do to attract team. So one of the things, like I mentioned, this whole painted picture, that's a good way to attract people because that articulates very clearly what your mission is. So mission is very important for the team. The next important theme is that when you hire someone and you get someone who is very good, you want them to do their job. So you have to empower them. If you don't empower your team, then what is the point, right? Now, the third thing you have to worry about is alignment. If you look at a cricket team, for example, or a football team, in a cricket team, you have a wicket keeper, few bowlers, few batsmen. You don't have all batsmen. You need a balance in that team. So when you hire people or you're bringing in team members, you need to make sure that the members of the team are aligned, they can work with each other, and they have clear functions which are clear and good for them, right? So that's the third thing. And then finally, you have to trust the people that you are doing in this thing. So if you really think through this, I've shared 4 ideas. One is trust. Second is empowerment. Third is alignment. And fourth is mission. And if you see the first letters, it comes to team.
Yes. In alignment, how to align the new team members to the company culture?
So a lot of times what happens is that existing team members start to believe that there's a lot of rejection from the existing team members. They feel that they are doing something different. This is our culture. It's getting violated, all that. So, again, here the painted picture really helps. So what happens is when you put an ambitious painted picture, your team members who are current team members start to believe that I cannot do this on my own. So they accept the fact that we need to bring new team members. So once they accept the fact that we are going to bring new team members, and they realize that if the new team members work out, all of us will benefit, then they are more willing to support new team members to come onto your thing and coach them, work with them, and help you grow the business. If people within the company start to reject people coming in, then it's a horrible situation. It will not go anywhere.
Yeah. No, but how to align the newcomers
to
our
so
current company culture, because they are coming from various backgrounds.
Yeah, but it's an assimilation of things. So when they come into the business, they also see what is happening in the business, and I'm sure your existing employees will show them what is going on, the rituals and the culture and the activities that happen. And sometimes they might bring in new things as well. So you should be willing to evolve your culture. It's a mix of what you have and new people who bring in. So it's a combination of those things in some sense. But who will tell people about what the culture is? They are team members who are already in the business. And if they are open to allowing other people to come in, then you will get much better results.
Now, what is the role of AI in SME sector? How SME can be benefited with the using AI tools?
Correct. So AI is now pretty much all pervasive and available to everyone. And AI has made intelligence available to everyone. So of course, small businesses, of course, should use AI for doing various things. At the very least, you can subscribe to some of the AI products that are available in the market and start using them for your own requirements. I find that AI does a very good job of writing letters, creating manuals, creating documents, reviewing documents, cleaning up documents, and all that. So the processes that you have in HR or IT or all these things, they can be significantly improved by using AI. So AI can certainly help small businesses improve the way they run their business. Now, depending on the business, right, there may be places where you can try automation in terms of the factory. So if you have a factory, you want to look at the products you are making, do some analysis of all of that. AI can really help you on that. If you are looking at activities where you are taking you want to make automation in the factory happen, you want to connect robots or write programs to do this or build websites or track CRMs or any of those kinds of activities, many of those activities AI can really help you.
Okay.
And I would highly encourage all founders, entrepreneurs, and pretty much everyone to use AI for all kinds of things. And I think, people like, for example, ChatGPT and others, right? You can very easily ask questions to it for learning new things. So if I want to find out about something new that I'm not familiar with, then AI can be a very good tool or a very good support system to learn new things. I think, as I look ahead, AI is going to be part of everything that we do. In fact, I would say that AI is going to be as pervasive as internet and the mobile phone. So everyone will have access to AI, and those who figure out how to use AI will do significantly better than those who can't figure it out.
In today's scenario, due to the Shark Tank, many people are thinking about mentorship or something. Can you explain on that, how it can be benefited, or is it really necessary for the SMEs?
Yes, absolutely. I think mentorship is important not just for SMEs, but for individuals as well. And it is very important to have mentors in your life and also for small businesses. I have been thinking about this topic for a while, and I'll share a few stories for you to make that easier. So I find that there are 4 kind of mentors. Okay. So first kind of mentor, and I'm going to try to connect them to mythological stories so that's easier to remember. So one set of mentor is the Dronacharya and Eklavya mentor, right? So in the Eklavya Dronacharya mentor relationship, Dronacharya did not really know that Eklavya was his disciple. He was learning from him. And Eklavya was watching things and learning on his own. So this kind of mentorship is now very easily possible in the new internet age. You can follow someone on Twitter or YouTube or wherever else, LinkedIn and all that. And you can have people you are tracking. And not only can you track them for their activities, but you can also choose what parts of their life you want to track. So you can track Musk for some things and ignore him for some other things. So like this on Twitter and various other places, you can track them. So what I recommend is that everyone should have many Dronacharyas who they are tracking and following. And you can decide who to follow, and there's like no shortage of that. So that's one category. The second category is that, in our own homes, we have a Dev Panchayat. So in our Dev Panchayat, we usually have about half a dozen plus whatever. So there's a Vishnu, maybe Sri Krishna, Balkrishna, whatever, some Krishna, Ram, whatever, some Vishnu avatar. Then we also have Shankar. 7, 8 gods we have in our thing. Now, if you look at it, each of the gods that we have a very different purpose, so to say. So we have different purpose for them. So Saraswati is for knowledge and Lakshmi is for wealth. And so like this, we have different people in there. And sort of the objective that you have is that you keep the gods in your home well informed about what's happening in your life.
Right.
So whenever you have a problem, you can go to them and they can tell you what to do, right? Meaning at least inspire you to do it. So you go and pray every day and you keep them updated. Boss, I'm doing this, things are all fine. When I need you, I'll come to you. Right? So like this, you should have about a half a dozen people who are your mentors, who support you on different aspects of your life.
Okay.
And you should keep them posted regularly so that when you need help, you can go to them. Otherwise, you go to somebody and say, give me guidance. I don't have a starting point to even tell you what to do. So if you have this regular thing going on, then you will be able to get to them. And you can't have too many. So about half a dozen is a good number. 3 to 5. 6 maybe.
6.
So that's sort of how we are set up. So that's the second category of mentors. The third category of mentors that I tell people is, so I'm going to share a story of Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu. So Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu was his father, but he was harassing him and being mean and all that. So, but Hiranyakashipu had a whole bunch of boons that he had taken from the gods in the past, that he cannot be killed in the morning, evening, inside, outside, human, this, that. So very complicated structure. But Prahlad was a Vishnu Bhakt, so Vishnu came in as Narsimha and addressed the problem that was needed. Now, if you think through this, he got Hiranyakashipu to do the job, which was very specialized, right? And for that specialized job, that specialist who could come to that particular thing, because he had a relationship with Vishnu, who would have been in his regular mentor category. So when you have a very complicated problem that needs a specialist, you need to have the relationship to get the specialist for the need that you need it, rather than on an ongoing basis. Now, Narsimha is not someone you want to have with you every day. He will eat you, right? So you want to be able to bring that specialist when you need him, but not necessarily have the specialist every day with you. But the specialist came because of the relationship that you had with him. So that's the important thing to think about. Right? So that's the third category of mentors. And the fourth is, of course, if you have to do the Dharma Yuddha, then you need Krishna to come. Now, if you think about Krishna's role when this whole thing happened with Arjun, Krishna could have given advice. Of course, he was all-powerful, he knew everything. He did not have to come to the war to see anything that was there. He could have been giving advice to Arjun without even showing up there, or he could have told him whatever, and he knew everything, right? But he wanted to be part of the action, right? That's why he was there. And he came with him, and he was there all through the battle of Kurukshetra and all that. Mahabharata happened. He gave advice, whatever else. So when you have a mentor like that, you get the mentor to come and be part of your relationship. It's not just give advice and go away. They want to also see the action. Now, we also know the story that Duryodhana had also gone to see Krishna to get him there. But he didn't go to him. Why did he go to Arjun and not to Duryodhana? Because Arjun had a certain personal character, and not just that, people knew who he was. He had his own value systems, and Krishna knew both of them, and he knew that he would want to go to Arjun rather than to go to Duryodhana, because he believed in Arjun. Arjun had his own personal credibility, and also they knew each other. But I would say even Duryodhana knew Krishna. Why did he not go to them? So if you do the right things and you have the right kinds of capabilities and you have the right network, then you can bring the best to help you when you need them. Okay, so that's really a way how I think about mentorship. So everyone needs to first identify your set of half a dozen mentors that you want to keep in your mix. Somebody maybe for family, somebody maybe for whatever else. And the other interesting thing to note is that when you're talking about mentors, right, don't only think about old people as mentors or senior people as mentors. I'm sure your kids are probably your best mentors. They are the ones who can ask you questions and ask you things that you know other people will ask. So they can always point out, why are you doing this, right? So they are actually much better guides in many things. So when you're looking at these mentors, half a dozen people, think about different people for different roles. For family-related issues, you might somebody else. For business, it's someone else. Don't try to mix all of them. And having half a dozen of them is really useful.
So at the end of the podcast, could you suggest 3 books for the new entrepreneurs?
So I'll tell you different books that I find could kind of be useful. So if you're a new entrepreneur and starting out a new business, today more and more people are following what what is known as lean method, lean startup. So there are two authors who are worth tracking. One is an author called Eric Ries and another one called Steve Blank. So they have between them several books that help in terms of how to build lean startups. So if you're just starting out, I think that's a good place to start. So how do I build a lean startup? So that's one area that I would suggest looking at. One of the best books the book that I've gifted the most, I would say, is Ram Charan's book called What Every CEO Wants You to Know.
Okay.
So it's a very small book, and it is a very nice book written about how to manage cash flow. So Ram Charan talks about his family and how he grew up in Kanpur and Agra and other places, and how he really, but the book is brilliantly written. It's very nice to read. It's quite easy. So that's a very nice book. Another book that I recommend is a book called Beyond the Summit. Okay. Now, this is a book written by a fellow called Todd Skinner. And this book is excellent gives very nice stories of how to build teams. Like team building and how do you bring, it talks about mountaineering and examples of the mountaineering type stuff. But the book is brilliant. I highly recommend that book as well. It's not that easy to get that book in India in a print copy, but Kindle it's available.
Okay.
So it's a very nice book actually. So those would be some of the books that I would recommend from the entrepreneurship point of view.
Okay. Thank you, Anand sir.
Thank you, Vishwesh. So let me wish you and Veekay all the very, very best. I know you are running a very serious legacy of your father, who is absolutely the best networker in the town, and he has built an amazing business over the last 50 years. And I wish you all the very best, that you should take it for the next 50, and wish you the very, very best.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you, sir.